Hello, it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me for another Simple Stamping Saturday. Can't believe we've got like 2 and a bit weeks until Christmas. However, and relax. So, with that in mind, I'm ignoring Christmas completely this week, and I'm going to show you a sneak peek from the new or upcoming mini catalogue. And it is this stamp set. It's called Every Chapter. It is 1 stamp, which makes it so quick to use. I am using the Stamparatus because I'm going to be using Memento ink, and I like a really black outline, and I find that a couple of goes stamping gets me a better outline, if that makes sense. So this is what I have already made. So I've literally just stamped, coloured with watercolour pencils, not blended, don't want a blended finish for this, and then I've just added the glasses and the teacup to the top of my, or bottom rather, of my envelope. So let me show you how I have made it, and then I will show you the ones that I made stepped up. If I had a brain, I think I would be dangerous today. However, right, so let me add my note card. I'm going to go a little bit further up, but not much. I think that should be about right. Yep, that looks about right. So now I can add my magnets, just my 2 magnets, just so that everything stays in place. Now, because this is a red rubber stamp, I have taken the foam out of my Stamparatus. You want the foam if you are using photopolymer, because you get that they're a shallower stamp, and you need that kind of spongy surface to stamp onto as well. So let me ink this up with my Memento ink pad. Now, because it's a large stamp, it's not as big as our background stamps, but it is still a large stamp. You may find that bits in the middle don't stamp as well either, so I like to kind of concentrate on that middle, just in case. You just about see me. So it's stamped really nicely, but I do still want it to be blacker than that. Now, I say this most times that I use Memento, but I'm going to say it again because it warrants repeating. Memento is a water-resistant ink. Let me read it off the back. It's water-based, fast-drying, acid-free, quickly dries on most papers. When dry, stamped images are water-resistant. Dries on all paper surfaces, including coated and textured. Keep the lid closed, etc., etc. So it's water resistant, not waterproof. Waterproof would be stays on, but I'm a lazy crafter. I don't like the stays on cleanup because I don't like to leave the ink on my stamps, so I have to clean it, which takes quite a while with stays on. If you're doing watercolour, then I would recommend that you do use stays on, but I'm only using watercolour pencils, and I'm not blending, so it's fine. Right, so let's clean most of that off. I'm going to take this off and leave it just to set for a little while I bring in the envelope. Now, stupidly, I didn't set my stamp so that it would come, the envelope would come all the way in. I know, can't get the staff. What I do want is straight. However, that looks better. Maybe, yeah, no, I think that will do. That will do, that will do, yep. So, when you're using the Stamparatus without the rubber mat, those magnets, they are quite strong. So I'm just going to ink up the top of my stamp, and we get our glasses and our teacup. And I'm happy to just stamp that once. So again, just going to clean that up. Then I can pull that away and we will be good to put my Stamparatus away. This is what I mean by they are very strong magnets, because they are. Right, what you don't want to do is allow them to clash together. They will splinter, and you do not want bits of splintered magnet flying everywhere. It's not a good look. And then that, I like to keep the outline piece of red rubber. It's more so that where you've got lots of stamps in a set, I know I've got them all back. Obviously with only one stamp it's less of an issue, but it's habit. So pop my Stamparatus away, bring in this. Now I've used watercolour pencils from both of the watercolour pencil selections. Sorry. And I actually, this is Cherry Cobbler, I actually did my stepped up versions before I did my simple version, or certainly before I coloured my simple version, and at that stage I was almost thinking I wouldn't bother colouring it, because sometimes it doesn't need colouring, and actually this would be fine for not colouring at all. However, I then decided I was going to, but having already coloured, I was using blends, so I was obviously restricted to the colours that we had blends in, and they aren't all the same colours as we have in watercolour pencil. So I have had to compromise a little on some of my colours, and I will explain that as I go along. The Cherry Cobbler is Cherry Cobbler on my stepped up versions as well. What I do want to just do is make sure I don't colour my leaves Cherry Cobbler. Now this is quite wet, this ink still, because I have stamped 3 layers, so I am going to be slightly respectful, particularly as I've already smudged it a little, and rather than just colouring over the top of the ink, I am going to colour in between the letters, so that we don't get a big grey splodge across the page. Obviously if I had more time I would just leave that to dry. Right, so I want a little bit of shadow, so I'm going to add a bit more pigment top and bottom, because I think that's where there'll be shadow, and I also think there's going to be dirty fingerprints around the edge of the book, and I'm seeing that as kind of grease marks, which tend to be darker. So that's my Cherry Cobbler, and I don't need my Cherry Cobbler again. Bermuda Bay for every chapter, except I'm not using it on the every, I'm only using it on the book. And I know the every is part of a book, but this seems to be a little bit drier. So yes, Bermuda Bay, which, oh no, it's not Bermuda Bay, it's Coastal Cabana. Coastal Cabana is in the second selection and Bermuda Bay is in the first selection. So yes, this is Coastal Cabana, so it's slightly lighter. I do not use Coastal Cabana or Bermuda Bay. We do have Bermuda Bay blends, but I didn't use them on my stepped up versions. And just these bits. Oh, I do need the Cherry Cobbler again. I was wrong. Just remembered what I need it for. I need it for my bookmark, because my bookmark is in Cherry Cobbler. Again, just adding a bit more pigment at the top there because it's shadowed. Right, Calypso Coral. I was going to say Coastal Cabana. That's the one we've just used. So Calypso Coral. In fact, CC CC, CC. Alliteration with a C. The bottom one is not going to be in the C family. And again, I'm going to add a bit more pigment at the bottom and at the top, because that's where it's going to either be in shadow or catch sticky fingers. And then my flower is in Calypso Coral. My leaves are in Garden Green. I was just checking, they are in Garden Green on the other one as well. Again, this is not a colour that I use later on because we don't have Garden Green blends. Right, Night of Navy, so I did say that we weren't going to go CCC everywhere. Night of Navy. I suppose I could have used Cajun Craze, because we do have Cajun Craze in both blends and in watercolour pencils, but I had already committed to a colour which I will show you later, and this was kind of the nearest to that in watercolour pencils. And again, let's get the edges a bit darker, where we will have had sticky fingers. And then the Friendship, I'm going to use the edge of my pencil just to add a small amount of colour. And then I can just come in and fill in that white space that I missed. Right, I'm using Night of Navy again up on my teacup. So I'm just seeing this as a pattern rather than leaves. So it's almost like I'm seeing it as Delft, that lovely blue and white Dutch pottery. You get lovely Delft tiles. Oops. I'll deal with that splodge in a moment with my mono eraser. There we go. Right, then early espresso for the glasses, and then I've just got to do the paper and we are done. So today I am travelling down, and I mean Saturday, I'm travelling down to London to sing in a carol concert, which will be fun. We're having to do lots of lateral flows and all those good things just to make sure that we are being super, super careful. Not least of all because we're going into an old people's home. There we go. Right, paper, I'm using crushed curry. Again, another CC. Oh, and I've just realised I need to do the spine there as well. And every is going to be in this as well. And the spine I'm doing in early espresso again. There we go. So fold my card in half, grab my bone folder, which is the gift for anyone who shops with me and places a qualifying order, which is £40. They will get a bone folder and a surprise. So there we go. Those are my two simple ones. Then to step it up, I just added, I used blends rather than watercolour pencils. And then I've got some of the host paper, the Pick a Pattern. No, it's not Pick a Pattern, but it's the host paper that is in the annual catalogue. And this is in Misty Moonlight, which is what's here. And again, Cherry Cobbler. This is Soft Succulent, and then Calypso Coral. And then I've just repeated up here. Now, the paper I've done in ivory, and the outside of the glasses, the frame of the glasses, I've done in bronze, because that's a duo. And then for the glass, I've used the light soft sea foam, which helps bleach out the arms of the glasses, so it looks like you are looking through glass. So that's that one. I've just realised I didn't add a shadow. Gonna have to do that now. Can't have the books just standing in midair. Can't be done. So this is Smoky Slate, and this is the dark Smoky Slate. I just can't have things sitting in midair, and it just suddenly struck me. They're in midair. Can't have it. And then this is called Retro, as in I'm doing it after the event. And then this is the light Smoky Slate, which apparently I need to get a new one of. Let's use the brush end, which might be a little more successful, or not. Yeah, I'm going to need to get a new one of these. That makes me happier. That means it's actually sitting on something. Otherwise, it would be floating in midair. There we go. Happy. So that's my first stepped up version. Those of you who know me will guess my second stepped up version is to cut lots of layers. So I'm looking at this as a pile of books where these are are nearest to me, and the teacup and the glasses are furthest away. So this is straight onto the background. Then I've done one layer, two layers, and I've coloured the edges of the layers that aren't exposed, because then when you look into it, it looks as if you've coloured the whole thing. So there isn't that horrible halo. So there you go. Simple, stepped up and stepped up again. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see close-up photos and more details of what I used, you can find that by clicking the associated blog post link in the description bar below. If you've got questions or comments, you can leave those below the description bar. There will be a list of everything I've used over on my website, and I may manage to drop it in the description bar as well. So if you would like to purchase any of these items, obviously you can't get the stamp set yet, because that's not launched until the 4th of January. Unless, of course, you want to join as a demonstrator, in which case you can order from the new catalogue now. So that is an option. If you'd like to do that, drop me an email and I will let you know how we can sort out getting you a catalogue and that sort of stuff, so that you can see what you can choose from. Have a fantastic weekend. Keep safe, keep well, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!